Hello, good evening everyone. My name is Jonnel Brigole and my topic for this evening is community language learning. Okay, let's proceed to the background of my topic. So, CLL or community language learning was developed by Charles E. Curran. This method advises teachers to consider their students as a whole persons. Whole persons learning means that teachers consider not only their students' intellect or knowledge, but also have some understanding of the relationship among students' feelings, reactions, and desire to learn. According to Quran 1977, adults often feel threatened by a new learning situation, and he believed that the way to deal the fears of students is for teachers to become a language counselor. Counselors in CLL refers to the teacher or the teachers. Okay, his application of psychological counseling techniques to learning is known as counseling learning. The term counseling means one person giving advice, assistance, and support to another who has a problem. Next, CLL redefines the rules of teachers and learning. The counselor refers to the teacher and the client refers to the learner. Community language learning is also an example of humanistic approach. When we talk about humanistic approach, it deals with the feelings of the student and emotions and most especially the behavioral skills of a particular learner. Okay, so next, whole person learning, it means that teachers consider not only their students' intellect, but they also have some understanding of the relationship among students, feelings, physical reactions, and desire to learn. This is connected to humanistic approach. In community language learning, native language is permitted or are permitted among students. When we talk about native language, this is the mother tongue of a particular student. Next, translation will be provided by the teacher. So meaning to say in CLL, the teacher will become the translator for the learner. Students apply the target language independently when they feel confident enough to do so. Students are encouraged to express how they feel about the learning process. So in CLL, the student has the opportunity to express how they feel about the learning process. Because if the learning process did not suit to the particular student, then that's the time that the teacher will innovate his learning technique. Next, in CLL or community language learning, we have a common activities, and one of those common activities is translation. Translation, the students form a circle, then student speak out in his or her mother tongue. Then after that, teachers translate it into the target language. Meaning to say, in translation, the teacher here we will translate the particular language of the student. If the student spoke Bisaya, then the teacher will translate it into English. If the target language here is English. Okay? Next, tape recording. Students speak out in their mother tongue. Then the teacher translate the language into target language. Then that's the time that the language production are recorded. Again, here in community language learning, students can speak a vernacular. Okay? Then the role of the teacher here is translator. Then that's the time that the target language production are recorded. Next is reflection on experience. Sabi nga nila, experience is the best weapon. Okay. Teacher takes time after carry out various activities, meaning to say, the students will be given enough time after the teacher give the activity. Then, the students are allowed to express how they feel about the activities. Meaning to say that the students are encouraged to express how they feel the learning process. If that process suit to their level, then perfect. But if not, that's the time that the teacher will give empathy or understanding. Okay, next on the list is group work. When we talk about group work, it involves group activities. So, tasks like discussion of a topic, preparing conversation are given. Students work in a, students work in a small groups to complete the task. After completing the task, then it will the student will present it to the rest of the class. Group work here meaning to say that the student will not do the task alone, but instead the task will be completed with the help of the group mates. Okay? Now, let's proceed to advantage and disadvantage of using CLL or community language learning. First, it works well with lower level student who are struggling in spoken English. Meaning to say, yung nahihirapan na magsalita ng English ay makakahabol pa sila because the teachers here or the counselor here will give enough time for them. Next, lower students' anxiety and overcome threatening affective filter. And it creates a warm, sympathetic, and trusting relationship between teachers and learners. If the learners feel confident because of his teacher, then that's the time that the learning process is very smooth or will become smooth. Next, counselor allow the learners to determine type of conversation, meaning to say that the teacher here must be flexible enough. So the teacher will give chance for the student to speak whatever language they want to use. They can speak vernacular and they can speak their mother tongue. And lastly, the student will be trained to become independent. That's the advantage or the advantages of using CLL or community language learning. Now let's proceed to disadvantages of using CLL. So first, some learners find difficult to speak on the tape recording. Okay, most especially on the student who has a problem with the pronunciation and intonation. Kahit nga ako nag-struggle din ako ng pronunciation kasi may problema ako sa aking bibig. Yun yung isa sa disadvantage ng CLL. Next, teachers has to be highly proficient in the target language and in the language of student. When we talk about highly proficient, meaning to say that the teacher must be knowledgeable enough to different languages. The teacher must be a linguist. Okay? Para ma-translate niya yung mga language ng mga estudyante niya na ginagamit. Lalo na kapag ikaw ay taga Manila na teacher tapos yung estudyante may Bisaya, then dapat marunong kang magsalita ng Bisaya para ma-translate mo yung language ng estudyante into the target language. For example, yung target language is English, yung Bisaya, i-translate mo sa English para maintindihan ng mga learners mo. Okay, next. Translation is an intricate and difficult task. The success of this method relies largely on the counselor. Again, counselor refer to the teacher. If the teacher is highly proficient with the different language, then it has the large impact to the learning process. And lastly, it is time consuming in a sense that you will give chance to the student to speak the language that the student wanted to speak. Yung mga Bisaya or kung Muslim sila, pwede sila mag-Muslim. Kung marunong yung teacher ng Muslim, then he can translate the Muslim language into the target language. Yun yung mga disadvantage ng CLL. Again, sa CLL dapat yung teacher ay flexible and knowledgeable enough to different language. Again, that conclude my report for this evening. Thank you for listening. Thank you. Bye-bye.